My daughter told her friends, "My father died, so he won't come to the wedding."
But I came. When I walked into the hall, the guests turned pale as if they had seen a ghost, and my daughter, seething with anger, threw a tomato at me.
But when I took the microphone, everyone began to cry. Not from grief, but from the shocking truth. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. Emily's sleek black Mercedes pulled up to my curb with a screech that echoed through the quiet suburban street, gravel crunching under the tires like bones underfoot. I was in the kitchen rinsing a coffee mug when the honk blasted sharp, impatient like everything about her these days. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and stepped out onto the porch, the spring air cool against my skin, carrying the faint scent of blooming lilacs from the neighbor's yard. Paris in late April had that tentative warmth, but today it felt colder as she climbed out, her high heels clicking on the cracked driveway. "Dad," she said, not even bothering with a hello, her voice clipped as she adjusted her designer sunglasses. She looked every bit the successful marketer, tailored blazer, pearls at her throat, hair pulled into a severe bun that screamed control. I forced a smile, gesturing her inside.
Emily, what a surprise. Come in.
I just brewed some coffee. She followed me into the kitchen, her eyes scanning the cluttered counters, the faded family photos pinned to the fridge with magnets from vacations long past. One showed her as a little girl, grinning toothlessly beside her mother and me at the state fair. She didn't glance at it. Instead, she set her purse down with a thud and crossed her arms. "Look, Dad, I don't have much time. The wedding's in a month and, well, I need to talk to you about it." I poured her a cup, sliding it across the table.
Sure, honey.
"What's on your mind?"
Need help with anything?
My voice stayed even, patient as always. That's how I'd been since losing Ellen 10 years ago. Steady for Emily's sake. I'd worked double shifts at the engineering firm to pay for her college, skipped vacations to save for her future, but she just stared at the coffee like it offended her.
No, Dad, actually, I don't want you there.
The words hit like a slap, blunt and unyielding.
I froze, mug halfway to my lips.
"What do you mean?" She sighed as if explaining to a child.
Come on, be realistic.
My fiancé, his family is elite business owners, influencers. The venue is this upscale club downtown. Crystal chandeliers, waitstaff and tuxedos. You'd stick out like a sore thumb in your old suit.
It's embarrassing.
Her tone sharpened, eyes narrowing. "You look like you've been living under a bridge half the time. No offense, but I can't have that at my wedding." The kitchen seemed to shrink, the air thick with her perfume, something expensive and floral that clashed with the simple smell of my instant coffee. I set the mug down carefully, my knuckles whitening on the edge of the table. Embarrassing. "Emily, I'm your father."
I raised you after Mom died.
"Remember how I used part of the insurance money for your tuition at that fancy marketing school? Skipped meals so you could have those dance lessons." She rolled her eyes, waving a manicured hand.
Oh, please.
Not the sob story again. That was ages ago. This is my life now, my big day.
I deserve it perfect without you dragging it down.
She pulled the wedding invitation from her purse, a thick cream card embossed with gold, and tossed it onto the table like trash. It skidded toward me, one corner crumpling.
Anger bubbled up, hot and unfamiliar.
I'd always been the patient one, the fixer. But this dragging it down, is that what I am to you now? A liability because I don't drive a Mercedes or hobnob with the rich folks. My voice rose, echoing off the linoleum. I stood, chair scraping back. Emily stepped closer, her face flushing. "Yes, exactly. You're a relic, Dad. Stay home, watch TV, whatever. Just don't ruin this for me." She grabbed her purse, but I blocked the doorway, not aggressively, just enough to make her pause.
You think you can erase me like that?
After everything, a memory flashed. Her at 16, sobbing over a broken heart, me holding her through the night, but she shoved past her shoulder, brushing mine roughly.
Get out of my way!
She yanked the door open, the screen banging against the frame. Outside, she spun back, eyes blazing. "And don't even think about showing up. If you do, I will have security drag you out." The engine roared to life as she slammed the car door, tires squealing as she sped off, leaving a cloud of dust that settled slowly on my porch. I stood there, staring at the empty street, the invitation still on the table like a taunt.
My fists clenched, resolve hardening like steel in a forge.
This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The silence in the house pressed in after she left, heavy as the fading rumble of her car. I lingered in the doorway for a moment, the cool evening breeze slipping through the screen, carrying the distant hum of traffic from the highway. My heart pounded, not just from anger, but from a clarity I hadn't felt in years. Slowly, I turned back to the kitchen, my footsteps soft on the worn floor. The invitation lay there, mocking me with its elegance. I picked it up, fingers tracing the gold lettering. May 30th, the Grand Hall downtown, a far cry from my modest living room, with its sagging couch and shelves lined with dusty engineering books. I sank onto the couch, the springs creaking under my weight, and reached for the framed photo on the end table. It was one of the last with Ellen Emily between us, maybe 8 years old, all pigtails and laughter at a picnic in the park. The edges were faded from years of handling, but the smiles were sharp in my mind. I set it in my lap, staring at her young face. "What happened to you, kid?" I muttered to the empty room, my voice low and rough. Memories flooded in, unbidden but insistent. After Ellen's cancer took her, I'd promised Emily everything. "We'll make it, sweetie," I'd said that night in the hospital waiting room, her small hand in mine as machines beeped their farewell. I sold our bigger house downtown to afford the treatments, moved us here to the suburbs where rent was cheaper, worked overtime at the firm, designing bridges while my own life crumbled. And when Emily dreamed of college, I dipped into savings, $50,000 earmarked for her future, including that wedding fund I'd set aside for your special day. I told her on her graduation, handing over the first check. She'd hugged me then, tears in her eyes. "Thanks, Dad, you're the best." But now that hug felt like a ghost. I leaned back, the photo cool against my palms.
Another flash, her 18th birthday.
Me surprising her with a used car I'd fixed up myself. She'd squealed, jumped in, and driven off with friends, waving. I'd wave back proud. Yet here I was, labeled an embarrassment because I didn't fit her new world of luxury and status. The anger simmered, but it shifted into something colder, more calculated, justice, not just rage. She wanted to hide me, fine, but I'd show up uninvited and make sure everyone saw the truth. I stood pacing the dim room as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the carpet. From the drawer in the coffee table, I pulled out a notebook. Old habit from engineering days, jotting schematics. Now would hold a plan. I sat again, pen scratching paper. "Attend wedding," I wrote first, underlining it. Then gather proof. Old letters, photos, hints of her greed, her dismissals over the years, calls ignored, visits skipped, and that promise of the 50 grand. She'd hinted at it lately as if entitled.
No more. A doubt crept in, brief as a shadow.
Was I being too harsh? She was my only child, the last piece of Ellen. But no, the betrayal stung too deep. I clenched the pen harder, the ink flowing steadier. "Speak at reception," I added, imagining the microphone in my hand, faces turning, not to destroy her, but to reveal. Let her fiancé Zeit crowd see the real Emily. The clock ticked toward evening, the house growing quieter. I folded the notebook, tucking it away, and headed to the bedroom, flicking off lights one by one.
As I lay down, staring at the ceiling cracks that mapped out like forgotten roads, my mind raced ahead.
Tomorrow I'd start preparing. This wedding would be unforgettable. For all the wrong reasons, she imagined. The alarm buzzed at dawn, pulling me from a restless sleep, where dreams of Ellen and Emily mingled like old photographs in a drawer. I slapped it off, the room still dim with pre-sunrise grey filtering through the curtains. My mind clung to last night's resolve, that notebook tucked under my pillow like a talisman. I swung my legs over the bed's edge, feet hitting the cool hardwood, and shuffled downstairs to the kitchen. The house felt emptier than usual, the silence broken only by the drip of the faucet I'd meant to fix. I started the coffee maker, the gurgle and hiss grounding me as steam rose, carrying that familiar bitter aroma. While it brewed, I pulled my old laptop from the desk in the corner, a clunky thing from my engineering days, screen smudged with fingerprints. I hadn't slept well. Thoughts of Emily's words looping like a bad recording. Embarrassing, she'd said. Well, let's see what she's planning without me. I powered it up, the fan whirring like an accusation, and logged into Instagram. Emily's profile popped up first. I'd followed her years ago, though she rarely posted anything personal anymore, just polished glimpses of her life. I scrolled slowly, mug in hand, the hot ceramic warming my palms. Her feed was a parade of perfection. Brunch shots with her fiancé, Alex at trendy spots downtown, outfit posts in front of mirrored elevators, cryptic teasers about the big day. There one from a week ago, a close-up of a gold-embossed invitation cropped just enough to hide details captioned, "Counting down to forever." Butler Wedding 2025, my stomach twisted. No mention of family, just hashtags and emojis. I clicked through stories, highlights, archived bubbles of excitement.
A video clip, her touring a venue, laughing with a planner.
"This ballroom is a dream," she gushed in the audio, panning to crystal chandeliers dangling like icicles in a grand hall. I paused it, zooming in on the background, a sign for the Dismini's Marriott downtown, that upscale hotel in the heart of the city. Luxurious, all right, with marble floors and views of the river, perfect for her elite crowd. I set the mug down, grabbing my notebook from the counter where I left it last night. Pen in hand, I jotted, "Venue Marriott Ballroom Desmosine. Date May 30th. The ink flowed steadily, each letter a small act of defiance.
Another post caught my eye.
A group shot with bridesmaids, all in matching robes, toasting champagne. Emily in the center beaming, but her eyes looked calculated like she was curating a brand.
Family and friends making magic.
The caption read, "Family," I snorted softly. Where was I in that magic? A quick flashback hit. Years back after Ellen's funeral. Me handing Emily a check for her first apartment deposit. "This is from Mum's insurance. I'd said she'd want you set up right."
Emily had hugged me tight then.
Now this exclusion felt like a slap. I cross-referenced on Facebook, her profile linked there too. More details emerged. A pinned event page, semi-private but visible to me. Guest list hints. RSVPs from Alex's business pals. No invite for Dad, of course. My fingers tightened on the mouse, clicking faster. A photo of the menu mock-up, caviar starters, filt minion. All on that 50 grand I'd promised. The thought fueled me. "She's building a fairy tale on lies," I muttered to the empty kitchen, voice low but edged. I noted the time. Cocktail hour at 5 p.m, reception following. Enough to slip in unnoticed. The idea sparked, but I pushed it down, focusing on facts.
One more scroll.
A story from her fiancé, tagging the hotel's account. Confirmed. Marriott, May 30th, 2025. Spring blooms outside their windows in the pics, matching Paris's late bloom this year. The sun crested now, slanting golden light across the desk, illuminating dust motes dancing like forgotten confetti. I leaned back, notebook filled with scribbles, addresses, times, even a rough guest estimate from likes. This wasn't just attending. It was arming myself. But how far? A whisper of hesitation. Ellen would want forgiveness. No, I shook it off just as first. I closed the laptop with a firm snap. The screen's glow fading, but that spark in my eyes. It lingered, pulling me toward the day ahead. That morning's discoveries simmered through the week, like coffee left unwarm, bitter, but keeping me alert. The days stretched in a rhythm of distraction, each one a way to temper the anger without letting it boil over. After shutting the laptop, I'd stepped out for my usual loop around Grayslake Park, the path winding past benches where families picnicked, their chatter a stark reminder of what I'd lost. I walked briskly, gravel crunching, replaying those Instagram images in my head, the plan fragments piecing together like one of my old blueprints. Back home, I busied myself with repairs, tightening that faucet. Finally, water splashing as I tested it, painting the porch rails white. the scent of fresh coat cutting the spring pollen in the air. I avoided the supermarket crowds, opting for quick drives to the hardware store, nodding at clerks without small talk. Evenings blurred into TV static and half-read books, my mind always circling back to May 30th. By early May, the lilacs had fully bloomed, their purple clusters nodding in the breeze as I hammered a loose board on the porch steps. The physical work helped, each nail driven in with a sharp thud, channeling the hurt into something solid. A memory surfaced mid-swing. Ellen and Margaret laughing over tea in this very yard, planning Emily's baby shower decades ago. Margaret had been a rock after the loss, checking in monthly, but I hadn't heard from her in weeks. Maybe Emily's influence. Then, on that Friday afternoon, as I wiped sweat from my brow and stepped inside for water, the phone rang, its old rotary trill piercing the quiet house like an alarm. I glanced at the caller ID, Margaret. Odd timing. I picked up cord stretching as I leaned against the counter. "Hello, Margaret."
Larry, oh heavens, is that really you?
Her voice trembled, laced with disbelief, and a hitch that sounded like she'd been crying.
I froze, glass halfway to my lips. Yeah, it's me.
"What's wrong? You sound shaken." There was a pause, her breath shaky over the line.
I thought you were gone. Dead.
"My daughter told me, said she heard it from Emily directly. Some accident, they said."
I've been mourning, Larry. Sent flowers to your address, but no response. Why would she say that?
The glass slipped from my hand, shattering on the tile with a crash that echoed my shock. Water splashed my shoes. Dead, Emily told that lie. My words came out clipped, fury rising like bile. A quick flash.
Emily as a teen.
Margaret baking cookies with Ellen while I fixed their car.
Old bonds now twisted.
Margaret sighed, her tone softening with concern.
Yes, hun?
Emily called her last week.
More casual like.
Dad passed suddenly.
Keep it quiet. My girl believed it. Why wouldn't she?
But I had to call just in case.
Are you all right? What on earth's going on?
I gripped the counter, knuckles white, shards crunching underfoot as I shifted.
I'm fine, Margaret.
More than fine.
Emily, she's ashamed of me.
Didn't want me at her wedding, so she erased me. But this faking my death. My voice cracked slightly, then steadied. "Please don't tell anyone I'm alive." "Not yet. Let her web tangle a bit." She hesitated, then whispered, "All right, if that's what you need. But be careful, Larry. This isn't like her."
Or is it? Ellen would be heartbroken. Call if you need me.
Her words hung warm with old friendship. "Thanks, I will."
I hung up, the click final.
The kitchen spun for a moment, silence returning thicker now. Dead. She declared me dead to avoid the embarrassment. I paced the room, footsteps heavy, anger crystallizing into something sharper, a vow.
She thought she could bury me.
I'd rise at that wedding, truth in tow. But how to make it sting?
Ideas flooded the microphone, the guests' eyes.
I stopped at the window, staring out at the park's green blur, my breath fogging the glass. I slammed the drawer shut after rummaging for my old address book, the wood rattling in the quiet kitchen where Margaret's words still echoed like a bad dream. Dead. Emily had painted me as gone, buried under her ambition. No more simmering. It was time to act. I sat at the computer again, fingers flying over the keys as I searched. Wedding Planners, Dismo, Iowa, the screen filled with options. Flashy websites promising dream days. Portfolios of smiling couples under chandeliers.
One caught my eye.
Elegant Affairs, a downtown firm with rave reviews for elite events at places like the Marriott. Their site boasted handling high society nuptials with discretion. Discretion, if they knew the full story. I picked up the phone, dialing the first number listed. It rang twice before a perky voice answered. Elegant Affairs.
How can I help make your day magical?
"Hello," I said, keeping my tone even though my grip tightened on the receiver. "I'm inquiring about a wedding you're planning for May 30th at the Marriott. Emily Butler and Alex Hargrove." A pause. "Sir, we don't discuss client details over the phone."
Can I take a message? I pressed. It's urgent. Family matter.
"Could I speak to the manager?" She transferred me after a hesitant one moment. The hold music tinkled like wedding bells, mocking. Then a brisk woman's voice. "This is Carla, lead planner. How can I assist?"
I dove in, voice steady.
Carla, my name is Larry Butler, Emily's father.
I need to meet in person.
It's about her contract.
No details yet.
Hook them in, she sighed audibly. We have a packed schedule, but fine. Come by at 2 p.m. today, 500 Locust Street, Suite 300. See you then.
I hung up, heart pounding.
A quick glance at the clock. Noon, time to move. I grabbed my keys, notebook tucked in my jacket, and headed out. The drive downtown took 20 minutes. Traffic light on the interstate. Spring sun glinting off the dismal skyline.
Billboards zipped by insurance ads.
Smiling families that twisted the knife. Parking in a garage nearby. I walked the bustling street. Suits hurrying past coffee shops. The air humming with city energy. The office building loomed. Glass facade reflecting clouds. I rode the elevator up, stomach nodding. Suite 300, elegant affairs. Gold lettering on frosted glass. I pushed in, greeted by soft lighting and walls lined with framed wedding photos, gowns flowing like rivers, cakes towering. Carla emerged from a back room, mid-40s, sharp bob haircut, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Butler, follow me." She led to a conference room, sterile with a long table scattered with fabric swatches and portfolios. We sat, her arms crossing expectantly. I leaned forward, pulling out the invitation Emily had tossed. "Carla, Emily's my daughter. She told me not to come to her wedding. Said I'd embarrass her." Then I learned she spread that I'm dead to friends, family, all to avoid me at her perfect day. Her eyes widened briefly, sympathy flickering before professionalism snapped back.
That's unfortunate.
"But how does this involve us?" "Drop her contract," I urged, voice rising slightly. "She's building this on lies."
I funded half her life. College, that 50 grand for the wedding after my wife died.
A flash. Emily at Ellen's grave. Me promising. "We'll honor Mom with your dreams. Now this." Carla shook her head, lips pursing. "Mr. Butler, I'm sorry for your pain.
Truly, but contracts are binding.
We've invested time.
Vendors booked.
Ethics aside, it's business. We can't cancel without cause."
And family disputes, aren't it? I stood chair scraping. "So you'll enable her to see?"
"It's not our place to judge." Her tone softened. "Talk to her or a lawyer." But we proceed. Defeated but not broken. I nodded curtly and left. The door clicking shut behind me. Back in the car, engine humming as I merged into traffic. Frustration boiled. That refusal stung, but it sharpened my edge. Sabotage the planners? No. Something subtler as a billboard for a bank flashed by. Secure your future. An idea flickered.
That money, my ace.
I gripped the wheel tighter, the suburbs approaching. Pulling into my driveway, the house looked smaller, more isolated under the afternoon sun. I tossed my keys onto the kitchen table with a clatter, the sound echoing my unresolved eye from the drive.
Carla's words looped.
"Business over family."
Fine, I'd play that game too.
I sank into the study chair, the old desk lamp clicking on with a soft hum, casting a warm glow over the cluttered surface. The computer booted up slowly, fan whirring like my racing thoughts. Facebook this time, deeper dive into Emily's facade. I logged in, notifications pinging, old friends likes, nothing from her. Her profile loaded, polished as ever. I scrolled past engagement photos, the ones that airbrushed out any hint of roots. Then there it was, a post from 2 days ago, a photo of a flickering candle against a dark background.
Flame dancing like a lie.
Caption: "Rest in peace, Dad. Gone too soon, but your memory lives on." Hundreds of likes, comments, flooding in like sympathy cards at a fake funeral. My breath caught. I clicked expand, eyes scanning.
Oh, Emily, so sorry. How did it happen? From a cousin.
Thoughts and prayers from Alex's sister. Questions piled. Will you postpone the wedding? Must be devastating so close to the date. Her reply pinned at the top. Thanks, everyone.
It hurts, but Dad would want us to celebrate life.
The wedding's on bigger and louder than ever.
He'll be watching from above. Emojis masking the chill, I muttered. Watching from above? You wish? Fury surged hot and precise.
Bigger and louder on my dime. A memory crashed in.
Ellen's funeral.
Rain pattering on the casket as I pulled Emily aside. That insurance money, half for your future college wedding?
50,000 when the time comes.
She nodded, eyes wet. Love you, Dad. Now this candle mocked it all. I zoomed in on the photo, the wax dripping like false tears. Comments kept coming.
Strong woman. Can't wait for the pics.
Each one a brick in her wall of deception. My mouse hovered over the reply button, tempting to shatter it now, but no. Timing was key. That money, she expected it wired soon, no doubt. Withhold it or use it as bait.
I leaned back.
Screams blue light etching shadows on my face. This wasn't just hurt. It was ammunition. Staring at her smiling profile pic, the plan began to solidify. Confront her world, but on my terms. The cursor blinked, waiting. Those images from Emily's Facebook post lingered over the next few days, flickering in my mind like that fake candle flame as I went about my routines. Mowing the lawn under the mid-May sun, the grass clippings sticking to my shoes, or tinkering with an old radio in the garage, static, crackling like unresolved tension. The anger had cooled into a steady burn, one that fueled quiet preparations rather than explosions. I'd even started a folder on my desk, clippings of her posts, notes on the venue, a rough timeline leading to May 30th. It felt like engineering a bridge again. Careful calculations to bear the weight of truth. I was midway through fixing a sandwich in the kitchen that Thursday afternoon, the bread knife slicing tomatoes with rhythmic thuds, when the phone rang. Its insistent trill cut through the quiet house, pulling me from my thoughts. Afternoon light slanted through the window, casting long shadows across the counter where crumbs scattered like forgotten clues. I wiped my hands on a towel, glancing at the caller ID, Emily. My pulse quickened, not with fear, but anticipation.
After her lies, what could she want?
I let it ring twice more, drawing a breath, then picked up. Hello, I said, voice even, leaning against the counter as the cool tile pressed through my socks.
Dad! Oh, thank God you're there.
Her words tumbled out frantic, laced with a desperation I'd never heard from her before. No greeting, just urgency. Look, I need to talk about the money. The $50,000 you promised Mom would go toward my wedding. The venue and catering bills are due next week, and Alex's family is fronting their share. But I counted on yours.
Can you wire it today, please?
It's crunch time. I paused, the knife still in my hand, its blade glinting under the light. A quick flash hit me. Ellen in her hospital bed, weak but insistent, gripping my arm.
Promise me, Larry, half the insurance for Emily's dreams.
College, her big day. I'd nodded, tears blurring her face.
I promise.
Now, Emily's voice pulled me back, pleading yet edged with entitlement. No, Emily, I replied calmly, setting the knife down with a soft clink.
I'm not sending a dime. What? Why not?
Her tone sharpened, panic cracking through like ice underweight. You promised. This is my wedding.
Everything's booked.
Without that money, it could fall apart. The Marriott's deposit is non-refundable and the caterers.
Dad, don't do this! You're being selfish. Selfish?
The word hung there, absurd after her deceptions. I paced to the window, cord stretching, staring at the neighbor's blooming garden where lilacs nodded mockingly.
Selfish, coming from the one who buried me alive with her lies, telling everyone I'm dead so I wouldn't embarrass your perfect day. I saw your post, the candle, the condolences.
You think that erases what I did for you? She sucked in a breath audible over the line, then fired back.
Oh, come on. That was just damage control. You threatened to show up anyway. What was I supposed to do?
Let you ruin it in your ratty clothes.
This is my life now. Alex, the connections.
Without that money, it'll collapse and it'll be on you. Mom would hate this.
Hate you holding it over me like some grudge.
Her voice rose accusatory, but it wavered at the edges, revealing cracks. I gripped the receiver tighter, my breathing steady as empowerment surged.
Another memory, her college graduation.
Me handing the first check. Her brief hug before dashing off to celebrate with friends. Greed had always lurked, but now it was bare. Mom would hate the lies.
Emily, you crossed the line? No money, fix your mess yourself.
You can't. Wait, Dad, please think about it.
I'll invite you. Okay, just send the wire.
Desperation peaked, her words rushing like a dam breaking. I stopped pacing, a sense of control washing over me, cool and firm. Goodbye, Emily. I hung up, the click decisive, echoing in the silent kitchen. Setting the phone down gently on the counter, I exhaled, watching dust motes dance in the fading light. Her panic lingered in the air, a validation that shifted the power. For the first time, I felt the scales tipping. But what would her next move be? My mind turned to the folder on the desk, ideas brewing as the sandwich sat forgotten. A few days later, with Emily's desperate call still echoing faintly in my thoughts, I pushed a shopping cart through the aisles of the Hy-Vee supermarket on the edge of Paris. My mid-May had brought warmer breezes, but inside the air was cool and humming with fluorescent lights, shelves stacked high with produce that gleamed under the glare. I was restocking basics, bread, milk, a few cans of soup, to keep my routines grounded amid the building storm. The cartwheels squeaked softly as I turned into the fruit section, reaching for a bunch of bananas, when a familiar voice stopped me cold.
"Larry, is that you?" I looked up, heart skipping.
There stood Margaret, her silver hair tied back in a loose ponytail, a basket over her arm filled with apples and greens. She wore a simple cardigan over jeans, her eyes wide with surprise behind wire-rimmed glasses. The aisle bustled around us, shoppers chatting, a child whining nearby, but in that moment it narrowed to just us. "Margaret," I said, a genuine smile breaking through despite everything. What a coincidence. Been a while. She set her basket down, stepping closer for a quick hug that smelled of lavender soap, warm and reassuring. "More than a while."
"After our call, I half expected you'd vanished for real."
"What brings you out here?" "Just errands," I replied, gesturing to my cart. "Keeping busy."
"You? The usual?"
"Groceries, for one." She glanced around, lowering her voice. "Listen, we should catch up properly. Not here amid the melons."
"How about coffee?"
"There's that little cafe downtown, brewed awakening in 2 hours. I can finish up and meet you." I nodded, the idea appealing, a chance to talk without the phone's distance. "Sounds good. See you there." We parted with a wave, a cart rolling away as I finished shopping, mind already leaping ahead. The drive downtown took 15 minutes. Traffic light on the tree-lined streets where spring leaves rustled. I arrived early at the cafe, a cozy spot with exposed brick walls and the rich aroma of fresh grounds wafting from behind the counter. I claimed a corner table by the window, ordering black coffee that steamed in a ceramic mug, its heat seeping through as I waited, nerves tingling faintly. Margaret arrived right on time, sliding into the seat opposite with a smile. "Punctual as ever, Larry." She ordered a latte, and we eased into light chatter, weather updates, her garden blooming with tulips, my porch repairs. Laughter came easy over a shared memory. Ellen and her baking disasters, flour everywhere in our old kitchen while Emily giggled from the doorway. "Remember that pie crust that ended up like concrete?" Margaret chuckled, stirring her drink.
Ellen swore she'd master it next time.
I laughed too, the sound genuine, pulling me back to warmer days, but her expression shifted, growing serious as she set her spoon down with a soft clink. "All right, enough reminiscing."
"Why did Emily say you were gone?" "It shook me, Larry. Tell me the truth."
I leaned forward, voice low amid the cafe's murmur of conversations and espresso machines, hissing. "It started with her visit last month, pulled up in her fancy car, told me straight I wasn't invited to the wedding. Said I'd embarrass her in front of Alex's elite crowd. After everything I sacrificed, dipping into savings for her college, promising that 50 grand from Ellen's insurance for her big day, I recounted it all. The argument in the kitchen, her shoving past, the invitation tossed like garbage, discovering her lies to you and others, the planner's refusal, that Facebook candle post faking my death, and finally her panicky call demanding the money. My firm no. Each detail unfolded through measured words, her eyes widening with empathy, hand occasionally touching mine in silent support. Margaret listened, face clouding with concern, then outrage. "She faked your death. That's not just cruel, it's unhinged."
Ellen would be devastated.
"Denying her the funds is a start, but it's not enough, Larry. Her true colors need to be shown publicly. At the wedding, perhaps let everyone see the real Emily, the one who discards family for status." I nodded slowly, the idea resonating, stirring that empowered spark. You're right. I've been planning something similar. Expose it all fair and square. We talked strategy briefly, subtle, not destructive, her support like a steady beam. As we finished, she hugged me again at the door. You've got an ally here.
Call any time.
Driving home, the sun low and painting the suburbs golden, I gripped the wheel, alliance with Margaret fueling the plan like fresh blueprints. Ideas brewed stronger now, but Emily's desperation hinted at more confrontations ahead, the engine's hum carrying me toward whatever intrusion waited next. As the sun dipped lower, casting elongated shadows across the dashboard, my thoughts lingered on Margaret's words during the drive home, her outrage mirroring my own, solidifying the path ahead. The alliance felt like a quiet anchor in the storm Emily had brewed, ideas of exposure sharpening with each mile. The suburbs unfolded familiarly, tree-lined streets giving way to my quiet neighborhood, where lawns were neatly trimmed and evening dog walkers nodded in passing. I turned onto my street, the engine's hum fading as I approached the driveway, gravel crunching under tires like a warning. There, parked crookedly in front of my garage, sat Emily's black Mercedes, gleaming under the late afternoon light, unwelcome intruder. My grip tightened on the wheel, satisfaction from the cafe evaporating into a jolt of weariness. What now? I pulled in beside it, killing the ignition, the sudden silence amplifying the tick of the cooling motor. Before I could unbuckle, she burst from her car, door slamming with a metallic thud that echoed down the street. Her face was flushed, makeup slightly smudged, as if she'd been crying or raging on the drive over. Dad, finally.
I've been waiting here for an hour, she yelled, striding toward me as I stepped out, her heels grinding into the gravel.
You hang up on me like that.
After everything.
The bills are piling up. The caterers called today, threatening to pull out if we don't pay the balance.
Alex's family is furious. They think I'm unreliable now. Give me the money, Dad. You owe me this. I closed the car door softly, keys jingling in my hand, her words battering like wind against a steady bridge.
A brief flash. Emily at 10 demanding a new bike after breaking hers. Tears turning to tantrums until Ellen caved.
Patterns always.
I said nothing, just gestured toward the house, turning to unlock the front door. She followed, her voice pitching higher, frantic edges cracking through.
Please, Dad, I'm begging you.
Without that 50 grand, the whole thing crumbles.
Do you want that to ruin my life because of some grudge?
Mom promised it. It's mine by right. She grabbed my arm lightly as we stepped inside, the screen door creaking behind us, the familiar scent of wood polish clashing with her expensive perfume. The living room felt smaller, with her energy filling it, photos on the walls staring like silent witnesses. I pulled away gently, moving to the desk in the corner where my folder lay hidden under papers. Her pleas continued, a barrage of accusations and entreaties. You're heartless.
All those years I put up with your boring life and now you sabotage my happiness. Alex might call it off.
His parents are whispering already. Just wire it or hand it over. I drove all this way.
Silence was my shield.
Each word from her fueling my resolve. I reached into the drawer, fingers brushing the envelope I'd prepared earlier that week, a thick one sealed with her name scrolled on it. It felt heavy in my hand, promising yet deceptive. I turned, holding it out without a word. Her eyes widened, snatching it greedily, tearing the flap open to peek inside. The next day, my phone buzzed with a text from her. Deposited. Thanks. I smirked, knowing the bank would flag the check within days. Invalid account numbers, a deliberate error I'd insured with a call to my old bank contact. She'd learned soon enough, but not before her plans spiraled.
This is it, she muttered, relief flickering before suspicion narrowed her gaze.
But desperation won. She stuffed it into her purse. About time.
Don't think this fixes anything.
You're still not coming. Go, I said simply, voice flat, pointing to the door. She huffed, spinning on her heel, the envelope crinkling in her bag. Fine, stay in your hole. The door banged shut behind her, engine roaring to life outside, tires spitting gravel as she sped away. I stood at the window, curtains parted slightly, watching her tail lights fade into the dusk. Quiet satisfaction bloomed, cool and calculated like the first draft of a flawless blueprint. But satisfaction carried questions. What would she do when the truth hit? The house settled around me, shadows lengthening as the weeks ahead promised their own revelations. The following weeks passed in deliberate quiet, a measured build-up where I avoided Emily's frantic texts. 10 missed calls one day, voicemails alternating between pleas and threats, but I let them ring, focusing instead on routines that grounded me. Mornings at Grace Lake Park, walks turning contemplative as I refined the plan in my notebook. Guest reactions timing for entry, words that would cut clean without cruelty.
Afternoons in the garage, polishing that old suit from Ellen's funeral.
Musty at first, but ironed crisp, a symbol of roots she couldn't erase. Evenings with Margaret over phone calls, her encouragement like steady reinforcement. Make it count, Larry. For Ellen, no more intrusions. Emily went silent after cashing what she thought was the check. Her social posts ramping up with wedding hype. Oblivious to the forgery I'd slipped in, a bounced promise just like hers. By May 30th, the day arrived crisp and clear, late spring sun-warming design, as I stood before the mirror in my bedroom, adjusting the tie that felt like armor. The suit hung a bit loose from skipped meals, but it fit the man I'd become, resolute, not vengeful.
A memory surfaced.
Our family at the state fair. Emily on my shoulders waving a cotton candy wand. Laughter pure before ambition soured it. I shook it off, grabbing the folder of proofs, photos, letters, that fake check receipt, and headed out. The drive downtown was radio silent, traffic thickening near the Marriott, where valets and crisp uniforms directed luxury cars to the lot. I parked a block away, heart steady, slipping the folder into my inner pocket like a hidden schematic. Approaching the grand entrance, marble steps gleaming under chandeliers visible through glass doors, I blended with arriving guests, tuxedos and gowns flowing like a river of status. But at the door, security loomed. 2 burly men in black suits checking invitations against a tablet. "Invitation, sir?" one asked, eyeing my outdated attire with a raised brow. I patted my pockets faintedly.
Must have left it in the car.
"I'm the bride's father, Larry Butler." The other snorted softly. "Nice try. We've got orders about potential crashes. Move along." Denied. My pulse quickened, but I nodded calmly, stepping aside as a caterer's van pulled up nearby. Workers unloading trays through a side service door. Opportunity. I circled casually, waiting for a distraction, a spilled crate drawing their eyes, then slipped behind a rolling cart, ducking into the kitchen amid clanging pots and steam. Heart pounding now, I weaved through, emerging into a hallway that led to the ballroom. The doors swung open to opulence, crystal chandeliers casting prisms on white, clothed tables laden with floral centerpieces, guests mingling with champagne flutes, laughter tinkling like fragile glass. Cocktail hour buzzed, but as I stepped in, heads turned. A woman nearby gasped, her glass trembling.
"That's Larry, but he's dead."
Whispers rippled like a wave. "The father alive?"
Emily said. "Accident?"
Faces palled, eyes darting to the front where Emily stood in her ivory gown, beaming beside Alex, until she spotted me. Her smile froze, color draining, then flushing red with rage.
"Dad, what the hell are you doing here?"
She hissed, striding forward, voice rising to a yell that silenced the room.
"Security, get him out. He's ruining everything." "I told you not to come."
Guess murmured louder. "Is that really him?" "She said he passed. Why lie?" She grabbed a tomato from a nearby salad display, impulsively hurling it at me, the red orb arcing through the air, splattering against my suit with a wet smack. Chaos erupted. Gasps, a few laughs, but I stood firm, wiping the juice from my lapel, eyes locked on hers. The microphone at the reception table calling like destiny. The tomato juice dripped down my lapel, warm and sticky. But I didn't flinch, just brushed it off with a deliberate swipe of my hand. The tangy scent cutting through the floral perfume of the room. Chaos swirled, guests whispering frantically, security edging closer. But I locked eyes with Emily, her face twisted in fury, and felt a steady calm settle like the foundation of a well-built bridge.
No retreat.
This was the moment. I strode forward through the parted crowd, footsteps echoing on the marble floor, chandeliers above flickering like hesitant stars as heads turned in stunned silence. Reaching the stage, I picked up the microphone from its stand, the cool metal grounding me, a faint feedback hum slicing the tension. Emily lunged a step, hissing under her breath.
Stop this now. You're destroying everything.
But I tapped the mic gently. Thump, thump, drawing all eyes, the room falling into a hush, broken only by a distant clink of glass.
Ladies and gentlemen, I began, voice even carrying through the speakers like a quiet confession. I'm Larry Butler, Emily's father, or at least I was until she decided otherwise.
A murmur rippled, a woman in pearls dabbing her eyes already. A quick flash hit, Ellen's hand in mine at Emily's birth, promising a life of support.
I pushed on.
A month ago, Emily came to my home, not to invite me to this beautiful day, but to ban me. Said I'd embarrass her in front of all you fine folks. My old suit, my simple life, too much of a relic for her elite world. Guests echoed sharper now, guests shifting uncomfortably as Emily interjected, voice cracking with panic.
That's not true.
He's lying to sabotage me.
Get him out! Her hands trembled, clutching her gown.
But I continued unflinching. But that wasn't enough. Keep me away, she spread a lie. That I'd died, suddenly gone in some accident, all so she could curate this perfect fairy tale without the inconvenient truth of where she came from. The room erupted in whispers. She said he passed.
Why fake it?
A man near the front, shaking his head, tears welling as sympathy built like a wave. I pulled the folder from my pocket, holding up a photo of young Emily with Ellen and me, the edges worn. I raised her alone after losing my wife, cashed in retirement for her college, skipped meals for her dreams, and that $50,000 for this wedding from her mother's insurance promised long ago. Emily's face panned further, stepping closer to the stage, desperation pitching her tone higher.
Dad, please don't do this here. Everyone, he's just bitter.
But the crowd leaned in, a few sobs audible now, handkerchiefs emerging from pockets. I leaned into the mic, voice dropping for impact. She begged for that money, thinking it would buy her silence. But here's the truth. She was so greedy she didn't even check. That check I gave her, counterfeit, deliberately fake, drawn on an account that doesn't exist. The bank flagged them days after she deposited, unraveling her plans while she scrambled to cover the shortfall. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Gasps turned to outright cries, guests turning to Emily with looks of betrayal, one woman murmuring, "How could she?"
Emily froze, then wailed, "No, it's real."
I deposited it.
This can't. Alex, help.
Her fiancé stood rigid, face ashen, the elite facade cracking under the weight. I set the microphone down with a soft click, the hum fading and turned, walking off the stage amid the emotional storm. Tears flowing freely now, sympathetic nods following me. Emily's sobs echoed behind, but I didn't look back, pushing through the doors as the fallout swelled. Stepping into the cool night air, the Marriott's lights blurring behind me, a wave of catharsis washed over, clean and final, like rain after a long drought. But as I reached my car, the engine turning over with a familiar rumble, echoes of her cries lingered, pulling thoughts to what dawn might bring. Sunrise filtered through the curtains the next morning, May 31st, casting a soft glow on the bedroom floor where I tossed my stained suit the night before. I rose slowly, muscles aching from the tension, but mind clearer than it had been in months. The drive home had been quiet, city lights streaking past as I replayed the speech in my head, not with regret, but a measured peace. Justice served, fair and square. I shuffled to the kitchen, brewing coffee, the gurgle filling the silence as steam rose, carrying that bitter comfort.
No calls overnight.
Emily's world was likely imploding on its own. After a simple breakfast, toast crunching under my knife, I sat at the desk in the living room, the old laptop whirring to life, screen illuminating dust motes like tiny witnesses. Curiosity tugged.
What ripples had I caused?
I typed Des Moines wedding scandal into the search bar, fingers hesitant but firm. Headlines popped up immediately. Local news sites buzzing with the story viral in the small pond of Iowa gossip. One from the Des Moines Register caught my eye. Father's dramatic return from the dead upends high society wedding. I clicked, scrolling through the article. Words leaping out like accusations turned truths. Eyewitnesses report Larry Butler, presumed deceased by the bride herself, crashed the reception at the Marriott downtown, revealing a web of lies, including a fake death and counterfeit funds meant for the lavish event. A journalist guest had captured it all.
Video snippets embedded, my voice steady over the mic.
Guest faces shifting from shock to tears.
Comments flooded below, heartbreaking. That poor man gave everything.
Emily's exposed serves her right for the deceit. Satisfaction bloomed, warm in my chest, like the first light confirming the blueprint's success. Finally, she'd felt the sting of dismissal, treated as disposable, just as she'd done to me. But as I read on, details of the fallout stirred something quieter. Emily fleeing the venue in tears. Alex's family distancing themselves, payments bouncing as vendors clamored. A flash hit her as a child, clinging to me after a nightmare, whispering, "I love you, Daddy." Sorrow tugged, bitter-sweet. The last tie to Ellen Fra was justice worth the void. I leaned back, sighing softly, the screen's glow reflecting in my eyes. Another site echoed it. Viral video. Dad's poignant speech shatters bride's facade with quotes from attendees.
He spoke with such dignity. I was in tears.
Empowerment lingered, but so did the ache.
A family lost.
Bridges burned by her greed. I closed the laptop with a click, the room falling silent again, and reached for the faded photo on the desk.
Us three at the picnic, smiles frozen in time.
Gazing at it, resolve settled like dusk, bittersweet, final with questions of tomorrow whispering in the quiet. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.